Have you ever wondered if your company actually benefits from having such certifications, audit programs, even having one of them? I mean, why would you? Hello, I'm Tom. Welcome to my channel where we talk about continuous improvement in an industrial setting. And today is a bit of an oddball video. It's not really continuous improvement per se, but it's quite linked. This is quality management. This is how do we set up our processes, and that of course is very much connected to continuous improvement. Now, have you ever wondered what are those audits, those external certifications doing for our company? Except of course giving you and your quality department some headaches a couple of times per year, take them into an office where they cannot really work for 3 days or so, and then you can put a nice certificate on your wall, a stamp on your product, but do they actually help your business? And for that, let's take a couple, and I took certifications. Some of them go over a number of industries, but what I did is I took them from, let's say, Western European food manufacturing, which is my area of expertise. And because I know that really not all of you are in food, and also some of these are a bit Western European, let's quickly go over it so you have a bit of a feel of what it is. Now, hazard analysis and critical control points, this is a system of identifying food safety issues for your product, and you can decide how do you do this within your own product, but you have to do it in a specific way. Halal is the Islamic spice law, so its brother here, kosher, the Jewish spice law. These are prescriptive ways of how you treat your food so that it complies with these religious food rules. In those rules, of course, are a lot of very smart things that, well, of course, they have to do with religion, but any food technologist will tell you that in halal and kosher are many very, very good rules to run a nice, clean, at least artisanal food manufacturing. So they used in food vegan, that, well, you don't use any plant, you use only plants, so you don't use any animal products. BRC or BRCGS as it is rebranded right now, and IFS. These are two supermarket chain sort of audits. So these are from big supermarkets, big purchases, British Retail Consortium, and this is, let's say, French and German retail combined, that made a quality system to put on manufacturers. Good manufacturing practices plus, which is mainly started in the feed industry, but they get a lot of stuff from food. So this is also about safety, about traceability. These have a lot of traceability as well in them. All of these, they prescribe what you have to do. So they have sort of a checklist. You need to do this on pest control. You need to do that on traceability. You need to do these things against metals, stuff like that. And then you have your ISO and FSSC. It's basically working on ISO. So this is like a more advanced, but really more audit worthy type of ISO. Pure ISO certification has gone a bit out of flavor in the food industry, and FSSC is really ISO. Now, what does that mean? These two force you to make your own quality system in a certain way, where you have especially these ones sort of in the middle that prescribe what you need to do. These ones, and also HACCP, they ask of your quality team or of your management team to make a good analysis, put procedures in place, follow those procedures, and check it. So they're very much based on the plan, do, check, act cycle. The other ones will also tell you that they are, but these basically, if you can prove that you are working in a good way and that you are managing your processes for safety and quality and your company goals, then it's okay. These ones ask specifically some things from you. These basically tell you, and vegan as well, tell you what can or cannot be in products. Many of them afterwards then also allow you to put a nice logo on your packages. So that is the first thing why you would do such audits and get such certifications. Most purchases, or most supermarkets, traders, other parts of industry within the food industry will demand that you have one of these three. And that is because all three of them, they are a broad quality system that ensures that you at least have all the basic stuff in place and that you are checked once every year or once every 3 years, but then more thoroughly, and that your quality system doesn't have to be checked by your suppliers anymore, at least not so frequently. You can do without, you should still do it from time to time. So these allow you to really trade within the industry. They basically all demand also within food that you do this HACCP. Things like kosher, that is especially for consumers. So other companies that want to make a kosher dish, so that want to produce kosher products or dishes, they of course will buy kosher supplies, raw materials, and also semi-finished goods. But this mainly, and halal and vegan also, is to communicate with your consumer that, look, we prepare our food in a certain way, we pick our ingredients based on religion, on planet, life, philosophy, and we have some independent body come over and check us so that you can be sure in the fact that we do it according to the rules. Now, for your own company, many of them, I would say they don't add too much. So first off, none of these are bad programs. Let's get that clear. I mean, there will probably be some bad auditing agencies, but none of them are inherently bad. Also, the market effect that you might get from them can be so strong that you just want to do it, right? I mean, I've worked with several companies and products where we want a number of these things to be on our packages because it really targets part of our consumers. It really targets in a good way in the markets where we produce. But do they help your company? Now, if you do not have any auditing, external auditing in place, I would say that any of these helps. Because also, let's say a vegan certification bureau, they will come in and check, do you have registration of your ingredients? Do you have recipes? Do you have control over the chain of production, over how materials flow? Did you prevent cross-contaminations? Do you label correctly? So it is good to have this check from time to time, but they have a rather limited view due to them being sort of a niche auditing and niche certification within the whole auditing landscape. And if you check on how do you want to run your company, you should really stick with these basically. And that is, if you remember, or rewind my video, but if you remember the words from the beginning, these ones, they ask of you to put in place a good quality management system and to convince the auditor that your quality management system is well thought out, is then executed correctly, and that any problems, mistakes, deviations, and also weak points in your quality management system are picked up, discussed, and improved next year. Well, some things a lot faster, but that you act on any problems you see during your checking. So this forces you to have a very good quality management system. And a very good quality management system, that is what you need if you want to stabilize your production and if you want to really produce the things that you plan to produce. Now these ones that prescribe this is how you have to run your business, again, if you only have one of them, it's okay. They also force you to have a quality management system. The thing is that they tell you what to do, and in practice, you will often see that a quality department is putting all kinds of documentation, all kinds of rules in place just to please these audit systems, and not really to support the production process that you have in your organization. And this will lead to, well, not completely one set of documents for your production and one for your quality system, but it will lead to part of your quality management system really being focused on proper production, and a hopefully small part, but still part of your quality documentation being in place only to please the auditors. And as soon as that is happening, you know that you are wasting money and effort and paper, but especially, people on having certifications, on doing those audits. So when you are having multiple audits, at some point you really should realize for your company, so for the operational part of your company, they are not adding anything anymore. If they help you sell more, please go ahead. But if you are doing it to prove that you have a very high quality production system, and if you are doing it because you think that this will help you make more qualitative products, no, stop it immediately. If you are sure that you have a very, very good quality system that also functions properly, just get yourself FSSC accredited. This is basically the strictest one on you having to make a fitting quality management system. That's why it is not a easy one to do, but it does allow you to make your own system. And well, any of the middle three, if you're doing anything in food internationally, then you need one of the three. So take it just to be able to sell, but as soon as you have one, try not to get any of the others, because it will just add on to your load in the quality department and not in your factory. Now, apart from this, which audits do you actually really need within your factory? So there we also go to, let's say, the ones where you design your own quality system, right? What you want to check is how do you control your processes. So do you have good procedures? Do you know what needs to be done? Do you like what you put in place, and are you also doing it? What you need to check is, do you have standards at all for all your work processes? And of course you start with the most important ones, but many factory doesn't have standardized procedures for even all of their products. So this is a recipe, but also at what temperature do you put the mill? At what speed should this conveyor be running? How many go in 1 hour? So all kinds of what do you do? How do you set up your machine? How should your material behave? What should it look like? So which checks do you do? Do we have standardized procedures? Are they doing what they should be doing? So are they any good? Do our procedures actually tell the operator what to do? And a nice example of this is you should put the temperature between 170 and 200 degrees. This is the typical type of procedure, of setting, that would please all of these external auditors. If then the auditor sees that the temperature is somewhere around 180 or so, it's within the range, so wonderful, you did what was asked of you. But it does not help your operator, because somewhere between 170 and 200 still means that they need to think about, okay, so what now? Shall I start at 175 and just see how it comes out of the machine and adjust a bit? Or should I be targeting 185? It's in the middle, so that must be good, right? You don't know. So a good standard helps your operator make a quick decision, sets the standard that you start from. So 180 is your set point, and you have a certain spread of how it comes out of your machine. That's okay, but any set point is only one number. It should be 170 plus 1 degree per millimeter thickness of my material. It's also good, and it's a calculation, but at least it every time yields only one set point. So do we have a good standard that does what it's supposed to do and creates stability and gives clarity for your operator? And then is it done that way? So is it executed? Do your colleagues in the factory actually use the standard, set up the machinery like that, check the materials like that, so that it is an actual standard, right? And again, we get back to, if you have a whole bunch of these certifications, at some point, documents will be lying around somewhere saying that cleaning needs to be done at 95 degrees Celsius for the water temperature because that's a nice cook clean. But the operators don't even have hot water in certain workplaces, so they've never done it. They've always negated it. That is a standard that is not done. That is not helping you at all. By the way, if this example is found, also basically all of those audits, all of those certification bodies, they will, cancel it. They will give you knockouts, minors, majors. But that is really important when you want to have a good internal auditing system. Have standards, make sure that they are good standards and that they give clarity, and make sure that they are performed. What do you get from all of these external ones? They sort of skip that it is a good one. So they demand that you have standards. They can be very broad because the main thing that they demand is that you are afterwards doing what you put on paper. They don't have the know-how to really check your process, so they skip the most difficult part of making good standards, of making good audits. So if you want to improve your own operation, pick one of them, pick one of these middle three, preferably if you can handle it. Pick one of those where you can make your own quality system, though this is a bit more difficult to set up, and then go and put your effort into making sure that you have good standards, into making sure that you are putting standards in place, making it very clear to the operator what they need to do, instruct on what has to be done in case of deviations. Don't forget that part of the instruction, because the nice weather type of instructions are easy to make. It is about the hard choices that you're making during production, and then have your control routes, make sure that you do it and make sure that it can be done. If you are missing some of the prerequisites of performing a standard on the shop floor, of course your operators are not going to be able to do this, but that also means that this whole standard is not part of your actual production, and that is a huge risk for your operation. So yes, an audit system is good, but make sure that you have your own audit system and that you don't pick any audit systems that don't generate money through extra sales, because more than one is not going to help the operation itself. Now, I hope that this provoked some thought, maybe some discussion. Let me know, especially you quality people watching. Let me know what you think of it. What did I miss? What certifications are actually very useful? And also, maybe let's discuss a bit on how can you convince the auditors that your internal quality system is compliant with what their lists are saying. That would be very good stuff also to share within our community. For now, I wish you the best of luck during your audits, and as always, enjoy the continuous improvement journey.